The city of Exile, the capital of the Slarath Collective, was a labyrinth of towering spires and winding streets, glowing with the pale light of alien technology. Its vast, sprawling urban core was both a marvel of engineering and a fortress of surveillance. The Slarath, an insectoid species known for their hive-like organization and ruthless military prowess, ruled the city with an iron grip, controlling every corner and monitoring every movement. For most, Exile was untouchable. A fortress with walls made of metal and a mind made of machines, an entire city that had never known weakness until now. Liam Harper, a lone human operative from the Galactic Recon Unit, had infiltrated Exile. A one-man army on a mission no one else would dare take, sabotage the city's central command center, shut down the Slarath's communication grid, and leave no trace of his presence. The operation had been given one simple directive: success or extinction. There were no second chances. The knight was silent as he slunk through the alleys, his dark, matte black armor blending seamlessly with the shadows. His helmet with its heads-up display flickered to life as he scanned his surroundings. The Slarath had a dozen eyes on every corner, but they were all watching the wrong places. Liam was unseen, a ghost among the towering buildings, navigating the city with a grace that could only come from years of training. Every move was calculated, each breath controlled. Liam had always been different. The Slarath were precise, efficient, their actions bound by the hive mind, devoid of the chaotic unpredictability that defined humanity. In his training, he had learned to exploit that difference. While the Slarath relied on their collective intelligence, he relied on his mind alone. He was a master of the unseen, the art of stealth, deception, and, when necessary, ruthlessness. He had already disabled 3 surveillance drones, one with a silent EMP pulse that fried its circuits, another with a dart from his tranquilizer gun. The city seemed to be asleep, but Liam knew that even one mistake could end his mission. There were no allies here. If he failed, the entire city would come crashing down on him, and humanity's last hope for defeating the Slarath would die with him. His HUD beeped as he neared the central command building, a gleaming pyramid that dominated Exile's skyline. The building was the brain of the city, where the Slarath coordinated all military operations, communications, and logistics. Inside, thousands of Slarath soldiers monitored the entire city, making sure no one could escape or plan an attack without their knowledge. The command building was surrounded by an impenetrable force field, but Liam had planned for that. With a quick flick of his wrist, he deployed a small black box, an old tech relic from humanity's war with the Exian, capable of bypassing even the most advanced security systems. The hum of the device vibrated in his hand as it cut through the force field's barrier. A moment later, the field dropped and he was in. The building was a maze of corridors and traps. Liam moved with a predator's precision, his every step carefully measured. He had memorized every schematic, every possible guard shift. As he approached the command center's main entrance, a group of Slarath soldiers appeared on the opposite side of the hall. They were enormous, their armored exoskeletons gleaming in the dim light. Their antennae twitched, sensing the slightest shift in the air, but Liam had already anticipated their path. The Slarath were fast, but they were predictable. He took cover behind a pillar, his pulse quickening as the soldiers drew closer. They passed within mere feet of him, but Liam remained perfectly still, a shadow blending into the darkness. The soldiers didn't even pause. They weren't looking for him. Not yet. When they were out of sight, Liam moved swiftly and silently to the main control room's door. With the press of a button, he infiltrated the system, overriding the locks and slipping inside. The command room was a vast, open chamber, the walls lined with enormous holoscreens, each displaying the city's infrastructure, military positions, and ongoing operations. At the center of the room, the Slarath Queen, the supreme commander of the collective, stood in front of a vast holographic display, her multi-eyed gaze scanning the city below. Liam didn't hesitate. He had no time for subtlety now. With a flick of his wrist, a small grenade dropped from his belt. It was a flashbang, modified to overload the Slareth's sensitive eyes. The explosion was deafening in its intensity, a blinding pulse of light that caused the Slareth soldiers to screech in disorientation. The queen, too, recoiled, her mandibles clicking in fury. Liam was already in motion, darting across the room, and with a quick, precise strike, he disabled the central computer core that controlled the city's grid. His fingers danced over the keys, inputting a series of commands that would send the entire network into chaos. The Slareth's communication systems went dark. Their ability to coordinate with their military forces across Exel vanished in an instant. The queen roared in fury, her eyes focusing on the human who had defied her city's might. But Liam didn't pause. He had no room for pride or fear now. He activated the last part of his plan, an explosive charge planted deep in the core of the building. In moments, the Slareth Collective's most critical military asset would be reduced to rubble. As the countdown began, Liam ran, weaving through the collapsing command center. The explosion tore through the building behind him, a shockwave that rattled the streets of Exile. The city would be thrown into chaos, the Slareth unable to regain control for hours, long enough for humanity to make its final move. Liam didn't stop running until he reached the extraction point, a quiet alley in the industrial sector of Exile. The sky above was lit with distant fires as the city burned. He activated his beacon, and moments later, a ship descended from the heavens, its engines roaring to life as he was pulled into its belly. The mission had been a success. One human against the entire city. It was said that humanity was nothing special in the grand scheme of the galaxy, that it was weak, small, and insignificant. But Liam Harper had just proven the opposite. He had shown the galaxy what one human could do when pushed to the brink. Alone against the might of a city, humanity had just set a fire that no one would soon forget. Sometimes it only took one. And that was all humanity needed.